Hey guys, welcome back for another video. This is going to be a multi-part, first of a few to come on something really exciting. Got some big changes coming for the living room theater. Finally, I'm going to a proper rack, but it's still going to look very living room friendly. I'm going to try to copy what I have now, which is a little IKEA unit. When I built it for the system that I had at the time, it was adequate. Unfortunately, it is so rickety because I've had to cut out so much of the back to fit better equipment, and it's a just rat's nest in the back. So it looks great, but don't touch it, and it's completely filled to the brink. The whole thing is wobbly, I'm out of space, and I want some cable management. So we're gonna fix all that, but we're gonna do it for about a quarter of the cost of the very few options for something like this that you can buy off the shelf from companies like BDI and Salamander, which are ridiculous, in my opinion, ripoffs going into the thousands of dollars for a basic cabinet, just because it looks living room friendly. So what I got is something very inexpensive, but very customizable, and we're going to make it even better. I'm well aware, reading all the reviews and feedback about this particular unit, that yes, out of the box, it's pretty cheap. It's pretty, I'll say, flimsy from what people are saying, but I have a plan, and we're gonna make it robust. We're gonna make it look great. Shouldn't be too expensive to make it completely living room friendly. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff in. I've got enough to start the build. After I get this a little bit further in the process so I can see where things lay out, I'm gonna order just a few more parts to finish it up. Then next week, by the time I'm done with that and the rest of what I want to order comes in, I've got the new equipment, and this is really exciting stuff. I'm replacing, surprisingly, my awesome Yamaha 2085 receiver, which I have been in love with since I got it. That is just an beautiful sounding receiver, especially for 2-channel. I love the DAC in it. Good news is the new unit has the same family DAC, ESS Sabre Pro. So I'm glad I'm not taking any kind of downgrade there, but we're going to hopefully, because I haven't heard it, hopefully have a huge upgrade in surround sound processing. I've gone with the new JVC Synthesis SDP55, a, by all accounts, phenomenal processor using the full latest version of Dirac Live with full bass control. I've got the new release candidate 3.1 version. Every speaker will be individually and fully managed and calibrated. I'm still going to use the mini DSP for my 2 subs, but I'm not going to be using it for EQ. I'm going to be using it just as an interface for easy BEQ, which is just, when you're playing a movie, a custom EQ curve to bring back the ultra low bass in some movies. But it's not going to be correcting. It's not going to have any delays, any phase shift, any leveling, any PEQ to the actual output signal. All of that's going to be handled by Dirac Live. So I'm very excited. Amp wise, because this is a pure processor, not any built-in amplification, I needed more amps, because right now I have a awesome, again, mono price, monolith, 3x200 at 8 ohms. Mine is pushing about 350 to my speakers, which dipped down to about 3 ohms. But that's just for my front, center, left, because that's all the pre-outs I have on the receiver. And then the receiver, the remaining 6 channels are all powered by the receiver, and it's more than enough, somewhere around 50 watts a channel, you know, being generous, that's what receivers do. So I've replaced that with the Monolith 9-channel. So I'll be able to sell the receiver and sell the 3-channel, which is a phenomenal combo for anybody out there. And if you're local, I'll make you a hell of a deal, and I'll even set you up. All you have to do is buy a mini DSP and I'll completely tune your system for you. But that's in the future, because I need to make sure all of this works, and is it worth it? I don't know. We'll find out, but that's coming next week. Amp is being delivered on Monday, and later in the week, the processor. So I hope to have all this rack done, which we're gonna start today, and then I can just drop everything in. So let's get started. So taking a look in here, first of all, it's very heavy. Now this is only a few $100s for the rack, and it's not meant to compete with the thousands of dollars types of racks. So if you're looking for something super sturdy able to support a couple thousand pounds, look elsewhere. But this should be fine for home audio. It's double boxed. Everything looks really good. Let's take it out. Now, I've already read through the instructions online, and it is very simple. If you've ever played with erector sets, well, that's pretty much what this is, just bigger. Not a big deal. A few bolts, a few nuts. And if you're interested in seeing about the new Insta360 One X2, I'll have a full review of that and all its accessories coming up on Two Wheel Obsession in just a few days. So here's the frame of the new unit. It's going to be about 45 inches, just below where my acoustic treatment starts on the wall. It was really tough finding one that would fit perfectly. There were a lot of designs that were down where I am now, which is about 25 inches, so you can see how much I'm going to be gaining. Almost double, so that's plenty of room, plus casters on the bottom. So that's not bad at all. But then my acoustic treatment will start about here, so it definitely won't look out of place. And it's still shorter than my speakers. So this is really cool. These are a lot better than, well, all the photos that I saw. The photos I saw showed the casters as silver, but they are black. I was planning on having to paint them first, but nope, you don't have to. The wheels themselves are hard rubber, so they'll be nice and friendly on my floor. Won't have to do anything there. Now, they don't lock. Let me check the other ones. I at least don't think they do. So no, none of them are locking, which isn't a huge deal for me. However, the floor where I'm going to put this, it's in a corner, and pretty much every corner of this install isn't quite level. So I am going to plan on installing some kind of locking leveling feet. So I do want to be able to roll this around. I want to be able to spin it and work on the back when I need to. So these are really cool. I wanted the casters themselves, but I do need to make sure it's secure and not wobbling at all. And then we have the usual assortment of nuts, bolts, screws, hinges, grounding strap, lock, etc. to assemble everything in all the shelves. Next, we have all the horizontal and vertical beams that'll make up most of the skeleton, and everything is very well packaged. No scuffs or anything. That's because everything is individually wrapped in saran wrap. And then here we have the locking side panels. They've got these little spring-loaded plastic inserts here. Each one does have a barrel lock. Of course, it comes with a couple keys, and I can confirm that, yes, these are very, very thin metal, and I do anticipate having to shore these up with some felt or weather stripping or something, because these are going to be pretty close to my subs. I definitely think it's going to resonate, especially if it's just metal on metal. So that's not going to be a big deal. We'll handle that once it's actually built and I can figure out where I need to put stuff to make it quiet. And then likewise, we have the back panel. Now we do have some bent metal damage here from shipping on a number of the corners and a couple of the side panels as well. It's a very common complaint. I fully expected it reading all the reviews, but it just bends back by putting a cloth around it and bending it with pliers back into street position. So nothing's actually broken, but they do need to fix that issue. It's been going on for years and they haven't fixed it with their packing. And then we have the glass door, which is very beefy, very thick. It's tempered glass. It is reversible, so you can flip it if you want to open left or right, and it is locking. We'll put the cylinder in later. Now what I'm going to do, because I don't want to see my gear inside, I'm going to take this to my buddy Angels in the morning, who owns AJ Tint and Detailing here in Land O'Lakes, and we're going to put a limo tint on the inside to make it a smoked glass. I just have to make sure that the tint I choose passes infrared. And here's a tip on how to test that. If you've got an extra phone or tablet, just grab that or grab somebody else's, turn it on, and then grab another one, like this iPhone here. Now you can use the back cameras and test the autofocus feature, or on the iPhones here, we have IR emitters on the front for when you unlock it. Just stick it in the camera view, and you should see the two little IR dots light up when it goes active, when it's trying to scan your face, right at the top here. See that blinking purple dot? That's infrared. So if you see that, then you're good to go, and you can use that tint. And the reason you can see that on your device but not your naked eye is because camera sensors pick up infrared. Well, at least most of them do. And the mobile devices will just translate that into something you can see on the screen. Now, as with the other panels, this one had a few dings and bends that had to be straightened out. Not a huge deal. You know, like I said, it's thin metal, so it's easily damaged, but it's also easily fixed. And I'm also not a fan of this labeling on here. And unfortunately the tint wouldn't do anything because it's on the front and it is white, so it would show up. So we're just gonna go ahead and use a glass scraper and it should clean right off. Now here we have the top panel. Bottom one is identical, except it doesn't have fans and it's got mounts for the casters. Now we've got this cutout here. This is on both the top and the bottom. This is for passing wires in or out. I'm not going to be using the top one. I'm going to use the bottom one for all my stuff. So they give you these blank plates, and I think it actually goes on the other side, but they'll just screw in place so they can cover that up. These are the ventilation holes that I mentioned I'm probably going to plug, because my fans, which are going to be exhausting up, this is upside down, I don't want to suck in cool air from here and just exhaust it out the front. So I'll just probably tape this up. It'll be black so you won't see anything. Now, these are made for server duty, not home theater duty, so they are loud. They move air really well. They get great reviews as far as cooling fans, but they're not silent, so don't worry, I've got a fix for that. Note, when you take these off, they do have blue Loctite on it, so you're gonna need an impact. Otherwise, you're probably just gonna strip out the screw if you try to muscle it. Out with the old. You can see how thick and beefy these fans are. They are really nice AC powered fans. I'm going to keep these for some other project. This is a kit that's designed to cool receivers and amplifiers and that kind of thing, but you can adapt it and put it on pretty much whatever you want. They're 110 millimeters, same size. They're going to bolt right in with the same pattern. They're USB powered and not only multi-speed, but silent. So you get a switch here. And this is your USB for power, and they do give you a pass-through dongle so you're not wasting a port. Whatever your device has USB out, you can probably use it, or you just use a wall wart. That's what I'm using now, so that's what I'll do for these. And we'll just bolt these up and figure out what speed is efficient, and we'll go with that. And these have nice rubber mounting, so there won't be any vibration. Should be all we need. Very inexpensive kit. Now, to take care of these top air vents, because we do want to plug them, I need to be careful about how I do it, because we don't want to see it from the outside, and I want to make sure that it's going to stay looking good. Now, I first thought about using some extra wide electrical tape, which is usually black. However, the adhesive side would be facing out, and that would work fine until it collects dust. And then from the outside, you'd see, little stripes of dust here and there. So what I'm going to do is use my black felt. I always keep a supply of this, super handy because it sucks up light like nobody's business. So I'm just gonna cut strips to fit, and then we'll just use some painter's tape, which is extra wide, just to make sure that it's in there around. You won't see anything once it's installed because it's all inside under the lip, and it'll just be black felt looking in. Open, closed. Now to do the other two. So what I decided to do for the fans was strip the feet and the grills off, take them down to just the computer fans that they are. And instead of screwing them in or using these rubber pads, which add a big gap, just used 4 little pads of 3M tape. Not only does it completely isolate it from vibration, but it levels it out, and it's in there. And no screws showing on the outside. Super easy. So there we have the fans in the top. Now to show you the sound difference, let me plug these in real quick. So I'm going to lean in a bit so the mic will pick these up. Now they've got 3 settings, low, medium, high, and of course off. I'll tilt it up just so the air is going through it. Low, believe me, is all you ever need for equipment. These blow a lot of air, dual fans, no problem whatsoever, but I'll let you hear the other ones just so you know. Here's low. This is what they'll actually be running at. It is a very low whisper. I can hear them being a foot away, but once this is actually closed up, you won't hear a thing. This is the same volume that my current fan has. Turn it up to medium and high. So even on high, it's just a gentle whoosh. All right, now compare that to the originals. Remember, these are 1 speed only, and they're not made to be silent. They're made for one thing only, and that's moving serious air for server rack duty. Huge difference. These are just plain loud. All right, so now I'm gonna go through the actual install. It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of people though that have had screw ups where they recognize they didn't follow the instructions exactly and had to take things back apart. So just pay close attention to all the details, the drawings, and anything they mention. Make sure stuff goes in the right orientation. And it's pretty simple. We've got nuts, bolts, and just putting things together like an erector set or like a metal IKEA. And there's our skeleton built. Nice and solid. Now I've got to put in the vertical rails, and I need to do a little bit of measuring because you're able to set the depth of them, the front and back rails, anywhere you want. So I need to make sure that where I place my shelves, there's going to be enough depth for my volume knobs and stuff like that that sticks out the front of the devices. So I don't want the shelves to go all the way to the front, but that should just take a bit. And I just got back from the tint shop, got the glass door done, and I think it looks great. So I got a couple shelf options. This is one of the heavy duty ones. Since my amp is almost 100 pounds, the cantilever type shelves don't work. They're just too weak. This one is a 4-mount and it's adjustable. There are brackets that go on here that will connect to your vertical rails, and seeing the size of it, I need all the room I can get. So I'm gonna put my vertical rails all the way to the corners. Finally got this first shelf in. Tell you what, this would be a lot easier with 2 people because this stuff gets awkward and heavy in a hurry trying to keep everything lined up, get a bolt in, get it locked down, yada, yada, yada. I did have to take these back out and move them back 1 notch just to fit better with these adjustable brackets, but everything lined up. Now, if you're not using the 4-mount shelves, but you don't have to, you can just use cantilever. They do give you these 2 L brackets, and they also serve as shelf supports, and you just mount them somewhere in the middle. You would have to have them a little bit closer, and that will stabilize everything. But if you're using at least one of these shelves, no worries there. So my thought process is here, down in the basement on the very bottom, I'm gonna put my UPS and power strip. I'll put a blank off plate on the front so you won't see any of that. Amp will be the first thing since it's the heaviest by far. I wanna keep the weight low. Then I have another one of these shelves that'll go right above that. I'll put my processor on that. And then I have 2 cantilever shelves that'll go at the very top. And that's for all the small stuff, the server, little Raspberry Pi, Harmony Hub, Apple TV, Shield, networking switch, you know, all the little stuff. And I also have a wiring and rail guide. This will mount on the back somewhere, wherever it's needed. And this will capture and route all the wires and then come out this back point. I'll probably do power down one side, signal down the other, something like that. We're just gonna keep everything nice and separated. So the power will all be concentrated down here, and the exterior wires are all gonna pass through this bottom. So that's the only shelf I'm gonna install until it's on the ground and I'm ready to put gear in, because the amp that's going in here, like I said, just about 100 pounds. I won't be able to maneuver it in there if I box it in already with the rest of the shelves. But here's the other shelf type that I've got, the regular cantilever. These will come in 1, 2, or 3U designs to hold a little bit more, just give a little more leverage on the mounting holes. And you can see that they're really easy to mount because it's just 4 bolts from the front, and you got plenty of space in the back. So these are great when you've got a lot of wires and everything that has to wrap around. But again, very weight limited. These will hold between 20 and 35 pounds, something like that. Depends on the size you get. So I'll have 2 of these, you know, somewhere up in here. 1 more of these, it will be above the amp, probably somewhere around here. I'll leave a nice little gap for air. And once I get everything in, I'll be able to measure and see what blank plates I want to put in. I am really frustrated with myself right now. I have to take this all apart. I put the main brackets on backwards. I don't know how. I specifically looked at it. I think I even called it out when I was doing it in the video. It specifically calls it out in the instructions. Make sure these slots are facing inside because they're what the doors lock into. And I swear I had them turned around, and somehow I flipped them. And I didn't notice until right now. And it's step 1. I still can't believe I did that. Anyway, the good news is once you've taken it apart and put it together once, second time is a lot faster. So as I imagined, these doors are going to need some serious help in noise because they just sit metal to metal. And these plastic latches aren't tight or anything. All right, why aren't you going in there? The other one went in fine. There we go. A little tight on this side. A little bit of a warp. Like I said, this does not compete with the thousands of dollars rack systems, so all of this is expected. There we go. So you can hear all of that would rattle with the bass. So we're going to tighten that up, no worries. I think what I'll have to do is just install strips. Let's see, probably definitely along this lip here to add some pressure to the door, and I'll probably get some adhesive felt. I might have some left. Maybe just a couple dots here would take care of the sides, and maybe one on the bottom for it to rest on. But that's all I have to do is just isolate it from hitting metal to metal, and that should take care of all the noise. And there we go. Nice and silent. All it took was a trip to Lowe's. I'll put links down to everything. I'm sure this is on Amazon too, just a few bucks. Sponge small window seal. It's just an adhesive sponge about 1/4 inch thick. And then I had this little sheet of adhesive felt. Handy for lots of projects again. I figured out what was catching on the bottom. There are these little tabs, and one of them was bent in shipping. I swear every panel here had a little bit of a ding or a bend. So I've got the weather strip up here, and then just 2 little pads right there of the felt. And that's all it took to isolate it and put a little pressure on. I'm gonna do the other side. I'll pop the front door on so you can see what that looks like. And I'm gonna be done for now because it's gonna be another week before all the gear is in and I can actually load it up. I'm gonna order blank off panels, and the next video will be it all wrapped up. Here we have the door. The tint is still drying. Well, you may not see, but there's a few bubbles that'll disappear after a day or two. Go ahead and put the other panel on here. Now with the back panel on, that tint will really show what it does. So there you can see how dark it is. Nice smoked glass look. Just have to install the lock. And it's all kind of wobbly right now, but they did include a washer down here. Some early reviews of this said the door would sag when you open it, but people said after the washer, it's been fine. And if I pick it up and it's level, it's fine. So I'm not worried about that. But even if it's not, we can shim it a little bit. Nice wide opening. Now I'm not gonna know if I need to soundproof the door or not until I actually get it installed. I don't think I do because it is, I might just install some felt pads right where these bumpers here hit because they're hard rubber. They do give you the bumpers, but it's not real soft, not like felt. Felt would be better, so I'll just do that. Okay, that's gonna wrap up this video for the basic build anyway. Can't wait till next week. I'll show you guys how everything comes together. And then we're gonna have some really fun videos playing around with Direct Live and totally redoing the tuning of the room. Stay tuned. See you guys next time.